Yo, 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 yo. Let's blow stuff up.
Oh, ladies and gentlemen, surprise Saturday episode.
Surprise. Wow.
Welcome back to the Producer Lounge, guys. Huh? It's an afternoon. We're going to talk about music production, like every episode. It's episode 274, and we are joined by Torbjørn.
Yeah.
I almost put the wrong O in the wrong place. Mr. Torbjørn. Is that pronounced right?
That is. You're like one of few that said it right the first time, so thank you.
Go.
The homies just call me Tor. We can go Tor for short.
Okay.
That's also fine.
How about Bjorn?
Bjorn is also really my real name.
That's
I figured
right.
it was weird enough already. Why change it?
Right.
Yeah.
There you go.
Right.
Yeah. Unique.
Where can the people find you on the internet?
Beats by Tor everywhere. At Beats by Tor on socials, beatsbytor.com.
Sick.
All that.
Fuck yeah.
Let's go.
Do you have anything you want to plug? Any shows or anything?
Yeah, I just got back from Lightning in a Bottle Festival in Southern California. We
I saw those pics.
did a pretty epic. We did a multi-cam shoot and record, and one of the cameras failed. So we're pulling together some little phone footage and stuff to maybe have like a third and fourth camera angle, so we're comfortable like releasing it at pro quality. But that's kind of going to be the next big drop. I think will be the 75-minute set that I played at LIB. And then we've got APOG Festival up in Washington coming up after that, and then Shambhala Festival performance.
Playing
Shambhala Ding Dong.
Let's go.
And then I think that's it. Things are going to slow down at the end of the summer because my wife and I have another baby on the way.
Hey, daddy.
Super excited. Due at the end
Congrats.
of July. So yeah, it's going to be a packed summer. Running sound with the PK Sound Boys. So you guys will see me out at a bunch of the big Insomniac festivals and that kind of stuff with the PK crew. A couple of my shows that I announced earlier. And then once things slow down and we're back in dad family mode, maternity, paternity leave, it's going to be like Waterfall releasing a bunch of music.
Hey, let's go.
Nice.
So yeah,
Hell
fall
yeah.
releases. Look forward to that as well.
Cool.
Hell yeah.
You're
That's
getting a song every 2 days. And you're getting 70 of them.
Yeah, it is. The backlog is big. So, yeah.
Let's go.
Yeah.
Let's go. Yeah. You can follow us. Just look up 400 on Instagram, 400, and then follow all the people. It's gamer tag. That's how we roll.
Mm-hmm.
And if you're on Twitch or YouTube or whatever, hit the subscribe or the follow, share it with your people. We do not shill our shit, so do it for us.
Yep, please.
And, if it takes us a minute to warm up and you're getting a little bored, just skip ahead a little bit in the video. It's fine. That'll do the trick.
We will.
Usually toward the end, we're cooking. So that's kind of how that goes. You
Podcast.
you loaded a shit ton of gear in my car earlier. I'm curious about what you got in those boxes.
I did load a bunch of stuff. So I have a Pelican, carry-on Pelican case, which is a bunch of random stuff, but mainly cameras. It's like my big effort is like just trying to film everything and be a lot more content forward.
Yeah.
I feel like tooting my own horn a little bit, but I feel like I'm kind of in a new height era, like kind of musically creativity. Cool. I feel like I've hit like a real stride this last year and getting a lot of positive response at the shows. And so just trying to make sure everything online is kind of like permeating that vibe, and the people that aren't there in person can kind of catch a little bit of that vibe on socials and stuff. So a couple Blackmagic cameras. I got into the Insta 360 camera that all the DJs are doing and trying to figure that out, and a couple little strategic lights and some recording gear. And then the big Pelly is or SKB fly case or whatever is wireless mic,
right.
wireless in-ears. Yeah, the gear name needs to be proper if I'm going to get this SKB sponsorship. I've been chasing this sponsorship. No, but it's basically like a vocal processing and a wireless rack.
Okay.
I'm running like the headphone cue out and the second master out into like Apollo, and I'm submixing my in-ears. Then I'm also running my own wireless mic into that and processing the vocals. And I have like a little Bluetooth drum pad that's triggering some UAD plugins that are powered through a Ableton Max for Live device. So I'm able to do like live auto-tune, live like vocal distortion, and just trying to take some of the more processed vocals that I'm doing in the studio and be able to recreate that on stage.
Huge.
Nice.
And be able to do it latency free, which is always like the tricky thing.
Yes.
And UAD seems to be like one of the few platforms that got the low latency thing really well. It just sucks that all their plugins are like $500 a pop.
Sure.
They are very
Sure.
expensive.
So you're running, are you playing your music on the decks or are you going off of a computer?
It's one or the other depending on the show. So I'll do DJ sets like what I'm doing tonight at Two Moons Music Hall out on Larimer Street is just like a DJ set, and then I'm plugging the mixer into the vocal rack, and then one output for the mic goes to the soundboard. But I also do AV sets. So I've done 2 tours of this AV show, which is like full visuals. I bring a lighting package. Ableton is doing all of like the DMX time coding stuff for the lights. It's doing all the video cues, and all the playback comes from the laptop. And then like the DJ component of that is like a Pioneer S11 and a turntable. Do like some scratching and stuff.
Nice.
Little more like MC hip hop forward stuff, but still like bass drops are a big part of that. Dancers on stage. My wife will come out and live paint on those tours, and
sick.
It's a big production, and it takes like a lot of work. So I've only done it twice. I have to be like really selective about putting the whole package together. But yeah, that was kind of like the genesis of building that rack thing that we're talking about, is being able to have one thing that's like airline check luggage friendly that works for like the DJ set thing or the AV set thing.
Yeah. That's badass. I love that. I feel like Jacob's question here can kind of nicely fit in here. He says, do you ever have issues with feedback when singing? What about hearing the music? So you did mention your in-ear setup.
The feedback thing is a real trick, especially the way that I'm processing the vocals. So the vocals out of my rack are going to the soundboard, like post preamp, post like a compressor, post a dynamic EQ, sometimes also some distortion and saturation, to like some pretty like scathing degrees of distortion going on there. And that's just like feedback prone like all hell, especially with a Texas headphone situation. So a lot of times I'm just having the vocals in the in-ears or having them really, really low. Because I'm working with an engineer that I know is kind of like confident mitigating some of that stuff. And like to dive into the like live engineer techie stuff, like really the only solution that I found that gets rid of that feedback every time is you have to insert a graphic EQ on the vocal channel. A lot of people will tune the monitors that way. And you're like, okay, this frequency is ringing back, cool, boom. And that's great. But with a vocal chain like mine, you have to really hack that graphic EQ to get rid of all the feedback, which is great for mitigating the feedback. But then the whole mix is hacked. And then the music sounds bad. And so you're kind of like, you know, what's the lesser of two evils? And I found like, I don't need all of the like high fidelity tonality out of the mic channel. I just need the feedback to be gone. And so, but not all soundboards can insert a graphic EQ on a channel. And so, there's some workarounds, or if there's not a workaround, then it's just like, just cut it out. Just the beats in the wedges is fine. And then I'll hear it in my in-ears.
Yeah.
Hearing it in the in-ears makes a lot of sense to me. Coming from a lot of band kind of scenarios where you would have to deal with that kind of stuff. I like it in the in-ears for those kind of circumstances. But I could imagine feedback being so annoying to deal with.
It's just, no one likes feedback. It's not a good experience. And I feel like, that goes without saying, but there's a sort of like a weird, I come from like a sound engineering background. So like any of those technical failures when I'm operating the soundboard or whatever, I'm like, they are all on me. But I didn't realize for a long time that a lot of the artists feel like the audience perceives feedback as the artist's fault. And so it's like a huge embarrassment for the artist when your mic is feeding back. It's like, oh, you're being perceived as being not professional, or like your equipment isn't operating. Not everybody even
understands
the layman.
What the house is.
Not even everyone understands there is another team operating that stuff, or knows like whose job is what or whatever. And so so like
that's funny.
That balance between fidelity and no feedback and whatever has been like a big point of like contention and trying to perfect this setup.
Exactly.
I've seen it from both angles. I run sound for my day job or night job or whatever you want to call it, and then obviously do the artist thing. And so I just want the show to be good. That's the ultimate goal, right?
Yeah. Over the years, you get good at these sorts of things too. You get the nuances and understanding.
Right.
Obviously, you just explained them quite concisely.
Yeah, I think about that shit a lot. So.
Yeah. Yeah. No, great question, Jake.
Yeah.
Jacob.
As always, Mr. Jacob Waters.
Questions.
So let's dive into the studio kind of aspect. Is there anything recently you've been working on in the studio that's got you really stoked?
Yeah, I've been a in the box person for a long time. I think it is a lot of people are just like financially speaking, it's a lot more accessible to do things in the digital realm now, you know, sound card, monitor, and a microphone, and you can do a lot. And there's a lot of great free plugins out there. But I'm trying to, without getting too into like owning a million plugins, I'm trying to figure out like what is the thing that like the shortest distance from A to B that is gonna kind of give me like a good creative flow, feel like I'm getting to the result quickly, and just being happy with the result.
Right.
And I recently, through the sound engineering stuff that I do, got a pair of SSL 9000 channel strips. They're like new outboard thing that they just dropped this last year. And so I've been messing with those both live and in the studio and trying to use that as like a one-stop for a vocal chain. Like how close can we get the vocals to perfect just using this one tool?
Sick.
And I've become like a really big fan of that. Their stuff is known for being like super transparent. Like you can really crank your EQ all the way and you get the result, but it doesn't necessarily feel like a huge EQ boost. I'm a big fan of transparency.
Yeah.
But then on the inverse of that, they have like this input flip thing on their preamp where you can run your line level stuff and route it back into the mic preamp, and then you can gain the shit out of the preamp and clip the preamp. And they have like what do they call it, variable second and third order harmonic knob, so you can go between second harmonics, third, or a blend of the two.
Oh hell yeah!
And
Sick.
for anyone listening who doesn't necessarily know the ins and outs of second versus third, they're like the basic explanation is like one sounds more like transistor distortion, one sounds more like tube distortion. And you typically in gear you have to choose, are you using tube gear or transistor gear? And so being able to kind of get a blend of the two has been like really cool. And different vocalists need a different type of edge to their voice depending on you know where their sibilance hits or where the body and their the resonant frequencies of the body of their voice is. And so that's been something that I've been toying with a lot in the studio. I've got a song coming out, but at some point this summer, it's going to be probably in the next month or two, that heavily leaned on that. Like all the vocals used those channel strips, printed them so that I could use multiple instances of the outboard. And it was the first time that I felt like I was able to bury the level of the vocals like really low in the mix, and they still cut through because of that distortion and saturation.
Interesting.
So yeah, I've been a big fan of the SSL stuff.
How much do those go for?
They are $2,000 a piece, I believe. Woo! So yeah, it's hefty price tag. But let's like look at what's the cost of the 9,000 board, like the actual console that we're pulling that from. The smallest one is like $200K or something like that. So kind of crazy to have that tool, even though not everyone can drop $2,000 on something like that.
Is this a rack mount kind of vibe?
Yes.
Yeah, I remember a buddy of mine had like a little mini SSL mixer of sorts that he was using to just get that sauce on it. But that sounds badass. That sounds super fun to deal with.
Outboard gear is great.
It is great. I don't know whether it's placebo effect or not, being able to touch the knob and feel like, man, the thing that I'm doing is making it sound the way that I need it to sound or want it to sound. It's like,
it's warm.
Yeah, totally. Analog warm.
Yeah. It not just warms up the sound, but it warms up the room.
It does.
A little heater in the winter.
Yeah. Just run it real hot for like a half an hour, and it just heats up the whole room.
Yeah.
No, that's sick. Yeah, I know a couple guys that have been really down with like the channel strip vibe, like just in the box too. And I think I have a couple like channel strip plugins, but I don't ever use them. But I've always been intrigued because I like like the idea of the constraints of like you can only use these things in this order, and that's what you get. You have to make it work. But I haven't really like dived in.
Yeah, there's something to that. I mean, even now, like recently becoming a bigger fan of the channel strip stuff. That being said, my like go-to vocal chain is like 11 plugins or something, which is ridiculous, but using a lot of different things for one feature of that tool or whatever. But yeah, there's something to having one tool and you have like a set finite amount of things you can do with it, and not being able to make a lot of choices, but having to make the right choice.
Right.
I think even if that doesn't get you 100% of the way there, I think you will like grow as a producer, as an engineer, from just like having to use your brain in that way and be like, I have 4 bands and that's all I have on this EQ and I have to get it to sound the way I want it to sound. It is doable. You know, you probably still would love to use Pro Q4 and have unlimited EQ
dynamics,
spectral, you know, all of that stuff, which is amazing and super useful tools. And obviously everyone is using that stuff at the pro level. But yeah, man, less is more sometimes too, right?
Yeah, I mean, I've been finding myself, I've been doing like some mix downs of a bunch of my old tracks, just running through and printing everything down to audio, and then just starting a whole new mix. And I'm barely doing anything to anything. It's all just level and like some wide bells and a little bit of multi-band, and I'm just like, cool, good, just leave it. It doesn't need to be destroyed. It really just needs to be turned down.
Yeah, save the destruction for your sound design sessions, and then if you're making, you know, good conscious choices there, then a lot of what you have to do on the back end, mixing and mastering, can be pretty minimal. Did you guys see Virtual Riot did like a mix down walkthrough video? This was maybe like a year ago. He did like, it was like start to finish. The video that came before that was like how to make a drop, and then the video after that was like how to mix the drop. And I was just like, banging my head against the table. He's doing nothing in his mix downs. He's like, cut the bass out of this, a little bit of EQ, don't even compress it, just throw the whole thing, clip the master, not even like a clipping plugin, just clip the output of Ableton. He's like, and that's how I get it to sound the way that it sounds in my records. And it's just blew my mind, because man, everybody looks to, you know, a few people, you know, Virtual Riot being one of them, that is just like has mastered fidelity while mastering loudness and the sound design and this, that, and the other. And it's like, dude, he's not making a lot of choices. He's just making like very conscious choices.
Very key ones. And a lot of it comes down to the arrangement at first. But if like everything else is good, then it's really just like a couple moves, and starting with everything from zero, I think helps a lot too, because instead of like, at least for me, I'll get lost in the sauce while I'm writing the tune, and like things will kind of be like really turned down, but then I end up like saturating them up because I need them turned up again, but then it's just kind of all over the place. Where when I set everything to zero and then print them all down to audio, and then I just bring in a thing one at a time, they're usually all pretty loud. They're just all in their own zone. So now the whole track without doing anything is like -6, and I'm like, all I got to do is tailor a couple things and it's good to go.
Yeah, arrangement choices are like a huge part of making your back end of your production easy. And like music theory choices. I know like a lot of people turn their nose up at music theory and don't want to have to learn their scales and their chords and whatever, which I mean, I come from a classical background, so I was like born into having to know all of that stuff anyways to play violin as a kid. And whether I like it or not at this point, that's just like the lens that I see all music through, is that stuff. But as much as I've tried to unlearn that stuff, so I'm not beholden to those like choices creatively, still like having a really good ear for what is in key and what is out of key has been like super clutch, especially when you're talking about summing all of those sources and the EQ choices you have to make in the summation of all of your mix. If your stuff is in key, you probably are not going to have to do as much EQing as if you are, you know, trying to mash things together like that are separate fundamental frequencies. If you can get everything to lie in the right kind of like bands, then you're really just making volume choices more than anything else.
Because your phasing is not having issues.
Exactly.
Tonally at least. you're not getting that like Reese effect of just like slightly detuned things right next to each other.
Yeah.
Obviously, a time and a place for that stuff, and
Absolutely.
there's no rules, and if there are, you should surely break all of them.
Yeah, let's go.
But that's when you can have fun in the mix. Like, ooh, I'm going to do some mid-side processing here because like I want it to be wide and then narrow and stuff like that. But when you're sound designing the mix, it gets lost in a fucking just a sea of muck.
Yeah.
Which is no good.
It can be hard. Yeah, it can be hard. I was just working on like he's saying, because we're mixing tunes that are older tunes or whatever. I was pulled this one up, and I had so much crazy shit going on some like very major groups on this thing.
Major
and I'm
groups?
like, I think major groups. I think they were kind of cool things that I was doing, but I just turned them off because I'm like, we'll see if they need to be there or not in the long run. But it's pretty fun looking at like, oh, I was doing some like sidechain group ring modding stuff or something like that, or maybe it was like the drum groups were getting ring modded by the bass or something. I don't know, some stuff like that. It's a super aggressive tune, so it kind of makes sense for it to do some.
Right.
The bass having some like kind of fluttery effect on the tops or whatever. But yeah, we'll see. We'll see if I throw them back on there or not. Who knows?
Yeah, isn't
Sometimes
that
I
funny?
like big group processing too.
Yeah.
Yeah, they're just like shoving everything into like one effect or shoving everything into a clipper or whatever. Yeah, there's definitely like, I think that Flutter plugin and Delta plugin have kind of, and then now Kilohertz has one that's like a side chain compactor. I think it's
Compactor's goated. We talk about it on the show.
I think those three things are making people think about that process a lot differently in the last 2 years. Like you don't necessarily have to sum things to get them to interact with the same processing. Now, sidechain processing, not just sidechain dynamics, has become a thing that's like accessible with these free or cheap plugins and whatever.
Is there one called Flutter? Is that what you said?
Flutter is I wish I could remember the name of the company that makes this, but it's a
Flutter and
French,
Delta.
Yeah, Delta.
Are the ones.
Let's go. Yo, Jacob, will you look that up for us real quick?
Yeah,
Jamie, can you pull that up?
Yeah, exactly right. Flutter was first in defense of the developer that made that, but he unfortunately tried to like circumvent the like Apple licensing stuff, and so everyone was having huge issues installing his plugin on Mac. And he was like, all you have to do is copy this into your like command prompt, and a lot of people were like, yeah, I'm not doing that.
Or just buy a PC.
And so, or buy a PC, or the developer could just pay for the license. Like you're no
like,
offense, but
like
you're supposed to, like everyone else does. And he, in his defense, Apple charges like out the ass for software licensing, and he has to pay for it every year. And I don't know, it could be the difference between him turning a profit or not. So I don't know the whole story, but I bought the plugin. It didn't work. I hit the dude up and was like, I'm having the same problem as everyone else. He was like, I'm just going to have to pay for the license. And so while I was Redditing, like, can anyone else get this to work? Is anyone having the same issues? On that same thread, they were like, you should just get Delta. It's basically the same thing, but with a couple different like analog flavors. It has like a tape mode and a vinyl mode and whatever. But they're all doing the same thing, which is processing a source from a sidechain input. And it is like saturation, clipping, or like in the compactor case, ring mod. And so, I've seen a lot of people using that in place of like sidechain ducking, which is super interesting. So now you no longer have to like actually reduce the level of a signal. You can just get them to like phase against each other, and you can just keep your sausage fat the whole time.
Which how fucking just cool is that?
It's
like
so
when you
cool.
like understand that concept, like it's so fascinating that you can just do that. Like the ultimate form of just sidechain. Just perfect phase cancellation.
Like sample-based amplitude modulation.
Basically. So cool to me.
Yeah.
It's always rad. It's always crazy to see how like technology constantly evolves and pushes the scenes. Because like one little thing like compactor comes out, now everyone's thinking about things differently and like starting to do different tricks, or like Serum 2 comes out and now they have like the spectral modes and like all these fun new modes, and now like the rhythm guys are having a field day and they're like, we can do all this like crazy shit we've never done before, and like
the jungle guys too.
The jungle guys, throw a break in there, I guess, right? Yeah.
Yeah, it's sick. I think Stranger just released with Deviant Audio a new pack where it's a bunch of jungle breaks in Serum 2, and they're all chopped up because you can chop inside the oscillator now. And
I didn't even realize that.
Yeah, I didn't realize it either. I'm tempted to buy it. It's only like $30
with like the wavetable position.
Yeah, you can do like a whole bunch of stuff, and I'm like, ooh, I might want to hop on that to experiment because I love chopping breaks, and I don't use Serum 2 at all, but I have it, so I'm like, I should use it for that.
Yeah,
because I'm a phase plant guy.
Phase planter.
Phase plant is sick.
Yeah,
I need to dive into phase plant more. Every
can I
time I've
grab one of
used
those?
it, I've come up with a sound that I'm like, that's fire, and then I
Yeah.
won't touch it for 6 months.
Yeah.
I know, right? Yeah.
It's the only thing I use.
Can I steal one of those beers?
Yeah.
Are you a Serum guy then?
Would you mind grabbing me a beer as well?
Yeah.
If there's one. Yeah,
I think there are two
There's
left, so
limes.
go for it.
There's limes in the kitchen.
you put the
limes in
lime
the kitchen.
in the coconut.
That's right.
That's right. Inside.
Hell yeah, thank you, dude. It's 420 somewhere, guys. Am I right?
Hey, well, I mean,
Goddamn
we can
right.
smoke pot too.
We also have tobacco.
Nice. I have, as much as I love weed and have a long, loving history with weed, I have found as I've gotten older, it really hinders my vocals. And I've had
Oh.
to,
Like your
yes, please.
voice.
Yeah.
Yeah. Interesting.
I used to like, hey, smoke weed every day. It was like, ADD brain. It was doing a lot to help me with being able to like focus on work. It was doing a lot with like past sports injuries and stuff, like de-inflammation and all this stuff. And then, at one point I was just not feeling very great about the quality of my voice on this tour that I was on. And I can't remember if it was my wife or one of our other tour mates that was out with us. And it was just kind of like, well, dude, you smoke weed every day. And then I was like, "Oh my God, it's been right in front of me this whole time." I know, seriously.
What are you talking about?
Sounded like an 80-year-old.
Are you sure it's not the
grandma.
cigarettes?
Yeah, so I just had to
That's
make a
fair.
business decision on that
Yeah,
one, and
sure.
I still miss it a lot. And certainly no shade to anyone that smokes weed in any capacity. But I just being
Indeed.
able to sing is more important to me. So
Sure.
Yeah, that's
I
right.
get that.
cheers.
Cheers, buddy.
Ooh, cheers.
Mr. Jacob is saying, is it Flutter with a V, the plugin?
Yes, it is Flutter with a V.
Okay.
Nice.
Cool.
He also has a question here, which kind of
Flutter.
goes back to our mixing discussion. Your highs often sound bright and clear. What do you do so it doesn't get too harsh?
Oh, I noticed that
That's what
too.
Jacob
Yeah.
sounds like.
Yeah.
Yeah, British. I didn't realize.
He's an
Jacob
English guy in
from-
Canada.
From over the pond. Is he really?
Yeah.
Nice.
Well, I don't think he's English, but he lives in Canada.
Yeah.
Well, both of those places are cool. Big up Canada. Big up the UK.
Big ups.
Yeah.
That is a kind of a big question, but if I could try to answer it in
Ooh,
short
let's go.
form, I'm making a lot of the decisions about harshness based on like what's the best possible listening environment that someone's going to experience this music. And in my opinion, that's like on a large format sound system, like a line array sound system at a concert. And surprisingly, a lot of those, what I found from kind of like understudying a lot of engineers in like the PK sound world, a lot of those guys are tilt shifting their sound system tuning, like heavily favoring the bass. And we're talking like, like high shelf EQs on the entire sound system that are reducing everything above 1K by like 6 to 10 decibels. Like
I believe that.
a lot of reduction in the high end.
Holy
and there's some
shit.
science behind that. People that are familiar with Fletcher Munson, here, equal loudness listening
Sure,
curves
sure.
and all of that
Especially
stuff.
depending on how full the venue is.
All of that, yeah. Reflections in the venue. What are the acoustic absorption properties, bodies, or sound, treatment or otherwise. And so I am like compressing and where appropriate, clipping at like every phase, every like stage of the mix, like
Yeah.
the individual channels, the instrument group, the bus, then like doing a final thing, bass, all the bass sounds go through one track.
Yeah.
Everything else that's not a vocal goes through the other. Also doing some high-end control and compression there, then also doing it on the pre-master, and then whatever my mastering engineer is doing that. So like the highs and especially in that like 2 to 5K range, if you look at the graph for a Fletcher Munson curve, there's like a big dip there that gets very flat as the SPL level goes up. Those are like the hardest frequencies to deal with at high SPLs. And so I'm doing like everything I can to multiband compress, to broadband compress, and then to just straight up like carve out with the EQ to control those as much as possible. And in a car test, you know, like Spotify listeners like may not hear my track exactly as bright as some of the like top other releases that are coming out.
Interesting.
But I feel like the payoff for how it's going to translate in a live setting is like worth maybe that 15% of like not pushing the high end in the car test.
So you feel like your tunes are a little darker.
I don't.
Than you're like maybe you would perceive other people are doing.
I think they
like in the brightness area, I guess.
Yeah, I can't speak to everything necessarily, but that's definitely like the intention is to be like doing recreating what someone is going to be doing in a large scale listening environment and trying to make that translate in like a home listening thing.
You want it to be able to get turned up.
Exactly.
Yeah. I mean, I love that the idea of just like kind of across the board, always pushing down on the high end, just as you go throughout the process. I feel like I do a similar thing. But yeah, even like mixing today, I was sitting there referencing a Face tune and then going back to mine and being like, fuck, man, like this guy's, it's so bright. And like, like how do I get that without getting it all harsh? And you know, maybe I didn't make the best choices in the first place to get that going, but it is a lot of those little pushing down on the high end as you go throughout the process. Yeah, that makes a ton of sense to me.
Yeah, and I think being intentional about where you're, like what crossover frequencies you're doing in your multiband compression, like what are your center frequencies with your EQ. I think I used to think a lot about just how to get it to translate in the car. Like where are people listening? How does it sound on earpods? How does it sound on Bluetooth headphones? That kind of stuff. And I've started thinking about that less and less because there's way more variables of the people listening to your music there, like what they're listening to at home. So like how can you really like try to shoot in the middle in a way that plays well to all of that stuff? I don't really know if you can, but I know that at the, you know, the like flagship level, if you will, like what are the like biggest stages that I'm going to get to play on, there's probably about 4 sound systems in total that people are going to hear my music through. It's going to be a PK, a Hennessy, maybe like a L Acoustics or like a Meyer. You know, those are in our like sound, you know, Danley, whatever, you know, call it top 5 or top 10. You have way less things that you have to think about averaging to get the best performance out of when you're shooting for like what's the best listening environment going to be, rather than like how do I pander to everybody at home and their JBL Bluetooth speaker or their, you know, whatever they're listening on. You just have like, it's a way more of a moving target for the home listener. And so if you just kind of like let go and you're like, it may never be perfect for them at home, but I can get it almost perfect when they come to the festival.
Right. Which is
what's a better experience, right?
Yeah, I think that's the better head, is to like, we're making music to be heard on massive speakers.
Sound systems.
Yeah. That's where the culture, that's where it came from. That's where it is, and that's where it's headed. Like it's always going to be for the big speakers in a dark room. Like that's the kind of tunes we make. We're not making folk. So I think gearing your head to that is just the best. Yeah. Because like I don't really care when I listen to a track like in the car, like from track to track, I'm not really concerned like, oh, this one's darker, dude. This one's weird. Like I'm like, oh, sick, it's dark. Like, but then when I'm live, that's where I'm like listening like, oh, this sounds really good live right now because of this or that. Yeah, I mean, maybe that's just because I'm producing all day, so I'm just like always thinking about that. But I definitely prefer people who cater to the live set as opposed to like listening on the Bluetooth speaker that's in the shower. Like,
And I think the listeners at home understand that now more than
I
ever
think so,
too.
too.
Like people
Yeah.
know like the best experience is to like go to the big sound system. People know the names of the sound systems. People like even
Right.
like the ticket holders at the festival, they have their preference of like I like Hennessy or I
Yeah.
like Function One or you
Yeah,
know whatever.
exactly.
Like
Yeah, yeah.
people are more in tune with that
Well, it's-
stuff now than ever. I feel like, and so it's like there
it's
is an
on the
understanding
flyers
there.
now.
Yeah,
It's like-
totally.
It's like a part of the event. It's
Yeah.
like, oh, we're having this sound system,
Yeah.
so you better come.
Which is
Yeah.
so
So funny.
cool.
Yeah, it's great.
Yeah.
So
I mean,
sick.
you have a function on your hat.
Yeah, literally.
Nice, hell yeah, sweet hat.
Yeah, that's badass.
It also kind of just depends on your audience too. Like, every producer is going to have producer fans in their audience, and then just like regular listeners. I think a lot of the regular listener, or maybe not a lot, but a good chunk are just not going to really even think about the
No.
mix that much. They're just going to be like, I like the way this makes me feel. I like the
Yep.
vibe, or like that's cool sound
Totally.
design. Like, and they're only used to listening on like their little JBL or like their car speakers, and like the one time they get like a really good sound system is live, and then like producers on the other hand, I think they're all gonna understand if like they hear your song in the car, they're just like listening off their phone or whatever, they're not gonna care as much. Like
No.
they're gonna bring it to their studio and like really listen when they
Correct.
want to really listen.
Right.
So
Yeah, if somebody asks me for feedback, I'm gonna let them know, like, hey, I'll listen when I get home to the studio, and they're like, sick.
Yeah.
You're like, yeah, like they understand that we're all some nerds and we want to hear it in the treated room.
yeah.
Yeah.
So yeah, I support the approach of like focus it for the live setting. Like I think it makes the most
As
sense.
far
for
as I
our
could
kind of
tell,
music.
too, your tunes translated just fine in cars and speakers.
Yeah, they do seem fine to me.
You know, most people can't. They just want to hear something that's catchy and fun and interesting to them. They're not like this. Well, it's a little bit too harsh in the 2K range.
It's a little too pushed.
Yeah, that's just us in the car that are
Yeah.
like, whoa, this guy should have really,
yeah.
that high mid band. They really dropped the ball there, buddy.
Exactly.
the
That's-
car, like it's
that's
a little
right.
hollow.
Yeah. I always love the people who have the bass in their cars just absolutely cranked,
Right.
where you like can't even hear anything
Yeah.
else. Like, some people don't give a shit. All they need is a big sub.
Right, that or like you get in and they have the bass boosted in the car, and you're like, leave it flat. What do you?
I know.
Why would you bass
I know,
boost it?
I know,
I
yeah.
made this track so it would sound
Yeah.
good in multiple locations. Don't boost the bass,
How
please.
dare you?
Keep it flat.
I bought a new used car last year that was
Shout
an
out.
amazing car, but unfortunately a sound system downgrade to what I had
Yeah.
before. And like the low end
Exact same
response
thing
was
happened to Dave.
not, yeah, it's tough, man. Like those cheap cars, the Scions and the Kias and stuff, like
Yeah.
what I was driving before, they really put a lot of the budget into the sound system. They're like, hey, look, this car's a piece of shit, but it's going to sound good.
The
at home.
hamsters,
So,
they want to rock.
Yeah,
They're
exactly.
inside
So-
the soul. dude.
Those hamsters.
when I switched to the Toyota last year and the bass was no longer there, I was guilty for a while of
Yeah.
being a bass booster. I was
Fair,
like, it's just
fair.
I'm not
Oh.
hearing anything below 60.
Yeah.
And then another producer homie, we were driving up to Shams together, and he was like, leading up to like the bass music marathon, I try to listen to softer stuff
Yep.
and cleanse the palate. So
Yep.
we were listening to
Thank
like
God, yeah.
the Shins and Iron and Wine and some kind of folksy indie stuff, which is
Hell
really
yeah.
nice. But I can't remember what it was. An Ed Sheeran song came on or something, and he was like, "Dude, the vocal mix in this is just garbage."
It's
And
just tubby
he
as
pulled
hell.
up, and the bass was just at 10, and he was like, "Dude, no wonder it sounds like the guy is just singing like this." And I was like, "All right, my
Like, hey, dude, I was listening to not this earlier. Okay?
embarrassing moment
Yeah.
EQing my car."
Yeah, it's not my fault.
I have an EQ on my car for sure. Absolutely.
Yeah.
I bought that Subaru Forester, and I put the like little touchscreen thing in there, and I bought somewhat cheap speakers to go along with it, but it sounds so much better than it did when I got it, and it
Yeah.
still sounds like shit.
It was a tin fucking can.
It was terrible.
Yeah.
But,
Yeah, it's tough, man. The Subies are great cars, but yeah, they that budget
Yeah.
goes towards other things
Yes.
than the entertainment
Sure.
system for sure.
yeah, no doubt.
Yeah, well, especially when you get a new car or new speakers or anything like that, like it's jarring because you're so used to like the listening environment before that now you have to like fucking calibrate and everything. Like you almost just need to spend a couple months listening to like the tunes in the car before you even listen to one of your own, because you're just like you have to
reacclimate.
reassess. Yeah.
So
It's just so different.
New sound system in the car, and the year before that I replaced my studio monitors, and so exactly what you're talking about, the reacclimation has been like heavy on my mind. I went from the 8-inch Yamaha H8s or HS8s or whatever they're called.
Yeah.
Loved those, like for their price range. I think they're punching way above their weight.
I know.
And made some great tunes on those speakers, and then had an opportunity at a really competitive price point to upgrade to the A77Xs, the dually Atoms. And it was like, I mean, dude, everything above 500 hertz was giving clarity out of those speakers, even just on the first listen, that I had like never experienced before. I was listening to my old tunes that I was really familiar with from other artists, and hearing shit that I had never heard before, but they just don't go below 40. And so hitting some of those low notes in the sub just like wasn't there.
Are they still 8s?
They're 7s. The Atoms are
slightly
so
smaller.
And I ended up, I tried to acclimate for a long time, and I was like really struggling, and I would switch over to the IEMs or some headphones where I knew the bass a little bit better, but I was like, I don't want to have to go back and forth in A/B just for that thing.
Yeah.
So I ended up pairing a sub with them like about a year later, which was a big difference maker. Just even though I don't know that like the phase core, it's like a mismatched sub. I don't know that the phase or like the volume or whatever, but just the confidence of being able to hear and feel what's going on below 40 was like really what I needed. But the more that I dived into like how can you acclimate to a new sound system, I mean, one that you own, that you get to listen to on repeat, let alone one that you're hearing at like another person's studio, or a sound system that you're hearing at a festival that you really only get like maybe 1 or 2 days in front of this. And like, what can you gather from that? My big takeaway from that was like trying to figure out what driver, like what speaker is doing what. And so understanding where the crossover frequencies are, because those are different from different speakers, especially in the low mids. And so I was just talking with, I was at EDC 2 weeks ago, talking with some of the PK sound reps, and the stage that I was working at was like the Wasteland hardstyle stage, which is like
sick,
brutal, like just brutally harsh, distorted, square, clipped, really bright, everything. You know, not my cup of tea, but was my job to like make that stage sound good for the people that were familiar with that. And so I was kind of having to figure out like what frequencies need to be where, what driver in this sound system needs to do what job, where do I need to put my crossovers for any compression or any EQ that I'm doing. And that was kind of informed by those 2 big sound system changes in my car and in my studio, having to understand that like, okay, the Yamahas that I had before, the crossover into the high tweeter was like at this frequency, and it was a much higher frequency crossover in the Atoms. And so that high frequency driver had less work to do because it was only reproducing like a smaller band. Yeah. And so understanding that like how I can get this driver to sound in my studio, I might need to reconsider what I'm doing, processing and EQ and compression wise, to get that high frequency driver on a big PK sound system to perform the same way. Like I might what I'm doing in my studio might be great at home, and it might even pass the car test, but it could be something that like sends that particular speaker in the box like into gain reduction because there's too much high end. And so that kind of going back to Jacob's question about like the brightness and the harshness and stuff, I'm trying to think of the speakers as an extension of like what's happening in the DAW. Like the speaker and the crossover and the different drivers are a part of the instrument.
Right.
It doesn't end at your master channel.
Exactly.
You know what I mean?
It doesn't end. Yep. And it moves because you move speakers. Yeah. So you have to. Yeah, that's a fun thought. That's a deep rabbit hole to go down.
That is a really nice spicy, nerdy bit right there.
I like that.
I really enjoy that.
That's what the podcast is built for there.
It is a really deep rabbit hole, and it's, you know, probably a bigger conversation than this episode right here. But I think like if anyone who's like really into mixing and mastering and like the translation across different sound systems, I think the big takeaway would be like, don't just think about like what one part of the signal goes to the subs, like anything under 70 or 90 or whatever that crossover is. and then the rest goes to the highs, like there are 4 other crossover points that you have to be aware of in your high speaker, in your high array. If it's a line array, or if it's like like a Hennessy, like multi-box, like the kicks, the tops, the like whatever. You think about everything above 70 hertz or above your sub frequencies. Start thinking about those frequencies in 4 different groups, and be conscious about like what are you doing to across your whole track, individual tracks or the groups that is like 8K and above. How is that band of frequencies being treated individually or holistically? And then 800 to 8K in your mid range, and then 70 or 300 to 800, or like whatever the frequencies change depending on the speakers, right? But if you really want to get nerdy, you can pull up the manuals for a lot of those products. Those crossover frequencies will be there. And think about what sound systems your music is getting played on, what festivals, what clubs are you performing at, and what are you going to most frequently have your music get played out of. And take that into consideration, because you can get that extra 10 to 15% of like performance, loudness, lufs, clarity, whatever you're after, by thinking about like even just band passing within those frequencies and like hearing just that band. Be like, how does the song sound just from 300 to 3K? What's happening there, and how can I make that band as performing as effectively as possible? It'll make the speaker have an easier job to do. It'll make the engineer that's teching your system be able to make you louder with less effort, or have more clarity with less effort. And that all happens in the studio and in the DAW.
Yeah, that's beautiful. Now I just want to think about that. This is nice.
Last weekend, we all played a show at Black Box, and we showed up an hour before the sound check time, because we got to like play around in the main room and the side room. And we did this sub-note test where we started at C1 and went all the way down to G sharp -1, just to see like a simple sub, no harmonics, like how it sounds on a big system like that, and which ones like really kind of like hit in those rooms. And it was interesting to see like certain notes that were like pretty high up, like A0 and like G sharp or 0 sounded like really good and really full. And it's kind of weird because like in your studio, it's a little bit of like a higher sub. So it's like you don't feel it as much, but like on a big ass system like that, it feels really, really fucking good.
Yeah, it hits you right in the chest.
Yeah. And it was also interesting to see which notes kind of naturally canceled out just in the rooms themselves. And of course, the room we were playing in, E, kind of cancels itself out, and most of my songs are in E. So I was like, God damn it! Like,
just the room eats it.
Where we were standing, it does. Like
that's
we might.
True. That's true.
Like you might find a mode like a little bit up where it just for some reason is ending there and stacking.
It's a great point.
You know?
Yeah. What's the sound? I've only been in front of that sound system 2 times, I think, at Black Box. But you guys remember what's the sound system in there?
Function ones.
In the main room, it's functions.
Yeah.
It's not functions in the main room.
It's not?
I think the side room has function speakers, but the tops in the main room are not functions.
No,
but I don't remember what they are though.
Yeah, I can't remember right now either.
It might be function subs in there actually in the main room.
Let me text Ethan real quick. He might text us back by the time.
Actually, he might be quick with
it. I don't remember. It was kind of a foggy night. We were a day off on a tour, and I can't remember. Gast maybe invited us out. I think he was playing the side room or something, or it was like the Sub Mission crew takeover maybe.
Right.
Oh, cool.
But yeah, I just remember we were pretty faded. We were having a great time, and I just remember the sensation of like, man, I've had a lot of drinks, and I know that like can really impair your hearing after like a handful of beers or cocktails or whatever. And even so, feeling like the clarity in that room was still like top notch, and
so
it was
good.
loud as fuck, and I was still able to have a clear conversation with the person next to me.
Right.
It's like, man, whoever tuned this room, like give that person a raise, because they they nailed it.
No doubt.
Sure.
Right, those rooms are magical, especially when you get the good sound
main room
engineer that night.
Yeah.
Oh, I love that place. I love that place so much.
Yeah, but the bass, the E cancellation thing is tough, man.
I
Like,
know.
That's like a oasis of a key for bass music producers, and to be in a null there is tough.
Yeah.
You gotta hope like, because it's either like going long ways with the room that like dip. It's like it's a channel in one direction or the other in the room. So hopefully it's not just like right down the center of
Yeah,
the fucking
yeah,
room
just-
that's
Just an
getting
18
canceled out.
foot wide hole all the way down the
Yeah,
middle of that room.
exactly.
You're like,
Do you guys remember? You got to help jog my memory here. Their configuration of their subs in the main room, is it like an array, like stacks across the front of the stage,
Yeah.
or is
Yes.
it 2 clusters either side?
it's stacked across the front of the
Yeah,
stage.
an array on the bottom, and then
Yeah,
just 2
and it's mono.
tops.
Yeah,
the,
got you.
the sub.
I've been in like nerdy sound engineering world, been delving really deep into sub arc delay. Have you guys ever heard
Okay.
of this before?
No.
I think so.
It's pretty
Go
simple
on.
concept. If you have all of your subs in a row and they're all firing at the same point, the person in the middle will get the biggest summation of it. And they call it the power alley. It's like you get the most.
Oh, I have heard about
thickest,
this.
Fullest
Yeah.
sounding across like all notes and keys. It sounds the best in the middle. And you kind of think of it as like a hand. Your middle finger is the power alley, and then you have these like nulls in
Shooting.
between.
Oh, right,
And
right.
then as you get out towards the side of the nulls, you will become in phase with the subs that are on the side, and so then you get like another smaller power alley out at an angle. So the arc
Right.
delay is like the cluster in the middle, or the 2 clusters of subs in the middle are like your standard. Everything is being time aligned to the middle, but you delay the stacks out a little bit, delay the next stacks out more, et cetera, et cetera.
Interesting.
So that you are narrowing, you're widening the where that power alley hits, and you're narrowing those nulls. That's like the theory of the
right,
sub
that
arc
makes
delay.
sense.
And you can't ever really truly get rid of those nulls, but you can minimize them, right? And so
Right.
that's
Can you pull up a picture? I just want to like visualize that.
yeah.
Sub arc delay.
Oh,
Is
sure.
that what it was?
Sub arc delay,
Yeah.
or power alley effect might
Power.
be the,
Oh yeah. Okay.
the other thing. And so this is like probably most famously pioneered from like dub sound system, reggae sound system
Yeah.
culture. I think they figured out a lot of the stuff that we're doing like way before it was
Legends.
in DJ world. Yeah, for real, dude.
Yeah.
Some super smart Jamaican dudes that were pioneering this
Yeah,
culture.
nerds.
Yeah.
But yeah,
Yeah, there we
that's
go.
so that's a great
That's pretty
that's a
good
great
image of that.
visualization of a delayed arc that is minimizing those nodes.
Ooh,
so
that
yeah,
looks
the,
like a good one.
the top left on that one looks like maybe the one that doesn't have any delay, and then you can see it becomes you get more of those in phase parts where the bass is like audible and in phase to more physical locations on the dance floor. And yeah, anyway, so I was super fortunate at Lightning in a Bottle Festival last week. I through another tech in the PK world that was like not available or called out, I got called up to be the main tech for the Stack stage, which is like all
nice.
the dubstep, hybrid trap, like all the like underground bass music.
Hell
really,
yeah.
really cool stage.
Yeah.
Minnesota's like long-awaited return.
Milk something.
Big Milk is like what his
Big
project
Milk.
has been called, but he did a Minnesota reunion set, like surprise set. We had the Glitch Mob,
Nice.
super cool set from them. Stylist, Canadian OG, PK legend.
Hell yeah. All friends of the pod. Shout out.
Yeah, I mean, if you guys saw the lineup, it would literally just it'd be like a family reunion of like producers that we all know and love.
Sick.
And,
Yeah.
Yeah.
and so that was my big challenge, like a really, really wide stage, and we had 18 subs double stacked across the front, and
Oh my God.
we turned the sound system on and press play, and we're kind of walking around the dance floor. How does it sound in these different listening positions? And it was like huge power alley in the middle, and then as soon as you stepped out, I was like 90% of the people on the dance floor are not getting hit with that sub.
Damn.
So I had to call up our lead tech from the main stage and get some tips from him, do a little bit of like math and like find some websites that were doing like some time alignment calculation and kind of figuring some of this stuff on the fly. And the sound system control software does some of the math for you. You can tell like how wide is the sub wall, what angle do you want to set it to,
Yeah.
and then you have a few things you can toy with there. But that was like a really interesting thing that I was messing with in the
super
sound
fun.
engineering world.
Yeah, that's so much fun.
It sounds like a goddamn blast, actually.
This
Shit.
this is the
it's-
black box.
Right.
Yeah, nice.
These are their speakers. Those are the mains, so that they have some
Okay.
functions in the tannoys.
Oh.
And the Othorn, I'm not familiar with those,
Wait,
but
me
it's
neither.
21-inch sub. That's a big sub.
Yeah, they're fat. and then the monitor system
Weird. Okay.
in the front of the house.
Yeah.
Nice. Yeah, it's not. I know Tannoy, like the brand. The Tannoy Golds are like a famous discontinued studio monitor.
What are they?
That's right.
Oh yeah.
That's right.
Like all the heavy metal, like and like whatever hard rock and punk producers seem to really like those Tannoys. But I'm guessing that's the mid speaker. So it looks like the functions were stacked on top of that, and then they maybe had like the kick bins in the middle.
I guess that's just the best speaker version. I'm
maybe
assuming
those
it's
are those ones.
It might be the tops.
Yeah, if you go back there.
Trip out. That is those on top, huh?
Yeah, and then the functions.
Oh, weird.
Yeah,
Okay, so
and
it's like
then
a
the
hybrid
subs
setup.
just
That's
directly
cool.
across the bottom.
Yeah.
Right.
Nice. Also, what a good photo. It'd be fun. What's that? I want to say it's like, I don't think it's Sound EQ Wizard, but there's some like thing where you can put in the like the width and length of your room, and it'll show you all the null zones for every note and how it cancels out.
Right.
It'd be fun to like map the black box and see all the little areas, because I bet you're right. Like the area we were standing in just happened to be the area where E0 was canceling out.
Right. And
Room
then
EQ Wizard, I think it's called.
Yeah, Room EQ Wizard.
Is that the one?
I think so. Yeah.
Well,
Like, people use it to like measure their control room, for like optimal like monitoring positions.
Exactly. Yeah.
They got some good sites that will also do this sort of thing as well. Like you can put in like the dimensions of your room, and then it'll feed back you just like all of the different nodes and where they would be, and like all that shit.
Yeah.
I have a podcast. I can't remember the name of anything.
Yeah.
I mean, dude, there's so many things to remember. You can't remember them all.
I wish John had walked in by now, because he could just be like, "It's this."
Yeah. I know, right?
Where you at, John?
Yeah.
Where you at, John?
Yeah. Where is he?
Yeah, Room
Anyway.
EQ Wizard is something I'm looking forward to diving into more. I am in like an interim studio space right now, and we'll move into a more permanent space when we finish. When we buy the house that we're in and then finish a remodel, our master bedroom is going to move into another room.
Nice.
To make room for a bedroom for our new kiddo that's on the way. And then that will mean that my studio can move out of the basement. Anyways, all of that to say, I'm looking forward to diving into that app. But
it's handy.
I loaned my RTA measurement mic to my buddy Josh Simochi. Shout out Simochi, producer from the Seattle area. And he was having like a real problem getting his kick drums to sit in an EP that he was working on, and he was like, I think it's the room, or maybe it's my monitors, I don't know. So he did that full measurement with the measurement mic, and then like it was crazy. He's got a weird like trapezoid shaped room at an odd angle, and his frequency graph was like flat, and then it get to like 140, and there was a huge dip all the way down to 80, and then it was flat, and then like the obvious roll off that you get in like the low lows. But he was like, no wonder. He was like, I'm like boosting my kick drums like 6 to 8 dB above where they need to be because of this crazy dip. And he's like, as soon as I like pulled that back and then went and listened in the car and like used the data rather than use like what I was hearing in the room, it's like all the problems went away. It's like important to know your room, not just from like listening hours or whatever, but to understand kind of the science of what's going on in there too.
Well, that, and it depends on like where you're referencing from, because like if you get like the normal, like you're on the 2/3 of the room, a lot of time that you get this massive dip somewhere from 200 down to 80 or so. But the more you like, you can experiment with pushing the desk towards the wall and getting some tone to come bounce off the wall and cancel that out, and you can get that dip reduced, or at least pushed down to like 80 hertz and 50. And it's smaller, so now you can like you can pick and choose where you actually want your listening position in the room, with just sitting there with Room EQ Wizard all day and just like whoop. You're like, okay, no, that sucked. Let's go two feet to the left or whatever.
Feet.
Go it again. Well, yeah, you can just like sit there all day and be
get a
like,
big
let's just turn it all the way around. Let's go from this side. Like, what is the door doing? What is the closet? And like you can have all your panels up, or you can just like start taking panels down and see exactly what that does. It's the best. Room EQ wizard
so
and a
fun.
measurement microphone is like, it's one of the best days
Yeah.
you can have, just sitting there. Just
We were saying the other day, all of the fucking dope sound system venues should put out measurement information on their websites or whatever, or at least give you like the microphone sweep recording.
yeah, like
to
the
use for
waterfall
yourself.
would be
Like,
nice.
Yeah, so you could check waterfalls and shit, and like just dial things slightly for the room before you even show up.
Interesting.
Oh, it'd be so
doing
sick.
Like an impulse response, like room correction
Right.
curve for the
Yeah.
menu. That's
Yeah.
a wild
Yeah.
idea.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Or the homie was saying, he was like, I want to just lean in to where it like really fucking rings,
Oh, that's fun.
which would be fun as well.
Oh, exaggerate that? That's hilarious.
Yeah, use the room nodes as like an extension
Yeah.
of your. Yeah, that's super interesting.
Yeah.
That's crazy.
What's the plugin? There's probably a couple of them, but there's a plugin that lets you like re-monitor or like monitor and headphone. Sonar works. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think that probably falls under their realm to
Yeah.
like create a studio or like whatever, a venue
Yeah.
model.
Yeah, I mean, the venue itself could SonarWorks their room and then use that as an EQ on the way out to flatten the room. But it's like, I don't run it anymore. I ran SonarWorks for a long time, and then I just kept turning down the mix, and now I don't even have it on. But the EQ scares me, like especially when it's like really drastic.
Yeah.
Just like, I just know that I have a dip there in the room, and so I just make sure I pay attention to that, like what your buddy did.
True.
Yeah, I'm always a little
It's just-
skeptical of some of that stuff. I think the theory behind it is like awesome, and obviously
Yeah.
the technology and what
Yeah.
they're doing is like super interesting. But are they solving a problem that everyone has, or are they just like claiming a solution to a problem that wasn't really there? And I don't use it, and so I can't really say one way or the other. But I'm always like a little bit skeptical when they're like, what you need to do is put this on your master and then hear everything through that filtering or through that lens. It's like, I don't know that I agree with that necessarily.
Yeah.
But what I will say is people that don't have access to studio monitors and you're just mixing in headphones, having that crosstalk, I think, is super relevant.
Watch out, the wind is blowing. That is not the first time that's happened.
Yeah, we need to move that guitar up.
Hang on, folks. We have some wind coming in, so it blew over the old...
It's a shitty guitar. It's,
Yeah, don't worry about the
doesn't
guitar.
matter.
I'd be more concerned about the light.
Ayo.
It should be surprisingly in tune, though.
In my room, I'm using SonarWorks, but
Yeah, there it
because
is.
at like 100, somewhere around 100, there's like a significant like boost of volume in the low end, and it just like makes it flat, and it's very obvious. Like I could show you it, but I put it into a splitter, so I'm only doing it on like 500 or 400 and down is what I'm using the SonarWorks for.
Interesting.
And then I let my high end be normal.
Oh, that's smart.
Yeah, it's probably fucking me in some way, but it's more helpful than is fucking me, I think.
Well, as long as you're conscious of that
Yeah.
it's there and you have the ability to A/B and turn it off and be like, does it sound
Totally.
better or
And I
worse
do.
with this?
Yeah.
And it's still, whatever you're listening in the car, the headphones, it's translating, right? I think that's like the ultimate goal is like whatever like hurdles you're having to jump over to like get to the result that you want, like whatever shortens that distance, like, I'm all in favor of those tools. But I think a lot of people, especially at the beginner level, are maybe thinking like, oh, I'm in this crappy untreated room and this is the solution to that. It's like, well,
That's not.
probably just mastering
No.
the tools and your subpar situation will get you there faster than leaning on this thing.
Yeah.
That's like where my skepticism comes from.
Yeah, far before you do that, you should just put in some dampening of some sort. So you just take care of the high end, like, bullshit. Because that's easy to take care of.
Yeah, what do you guys have on the walls here? This looks like
These are-
like Owen Corning panels
Yeah,
treated.
yeah.
Essentially, yeah.
Some rock wool.
It's it's insulation, like fire grade, whatever like the most dense fire grade insulation you can get at
Yeah.
Home Depot is.
I
Yeah, we have a whole
It
palette
works great.
outside.
703 is the product name, and Owen Corning, I think, is the company that makes it. You can buy it at Lowe's or Home Depot.
Yeah.
That's what I've in
The
all
green
of
and
the
white?
studio. It's rigid yellow, but I think they
Well,
do
yes,
make a
but the packaging is green and
Yes,
white.
yes, yes,
Yep,
yes.
Yep.
I understand.
That's exact stuff.
in all the studio build projects that I've been a part of, from people with tons of money that are buying like the RLX brand, whatever, like their high grade stuff, or going to Acoustimac.com and buying the high grade stuff there, I've found that like you're probably getting 95% of the way there for about 60% less cost.
Oh,
by,
yeah.
by buying Rockwool or Owen Corning and just like treating your own fabric with some flame retardant stuff.
Totally.
You might not stop the neighbors from hearing you as much, but you will make the inside
Right,
of your room sound
right.
significantly
Yeah.
better. And $400 spent on that, I think, is like way better off than spending an extra $400 on your monitoring or buying a second pair of headphones.
Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah,
absolutely.
It's the only reason that I still have the same speakers for like all 12 of these years, because we ended up building our own treatment, and now I'm like, oh well, the speakers sound great now. Like they're fine for what I need, and I mean, I'm not going to upgrade the speakers unless I upgrade the speakers.
Yeah.
Totally. At this point,
I mean,
So,
if anything, I'm considering taking away some of the dampening in my room,
which I've done.
I mean, I need a cloud. I would love to have a cloud, but it's pretty goddamn dead in my room, especially, and it's a little bit taxing, like mentally, to just be in there a lot. So that's a little bit weird.
Yeah, do you do the mirror technique for your like treatment positions? You see your listening
for, like,
position, and
right.
and-
Oh, yeah.
have a homie hold up a mirror on any
the
surface
first-
where you
Exactly.
see the reflection of your speaker is where you should treat. And you
Yep.
really like need a lot less treatment than people think.
Sure.
Sure.
Like
The
1,
first
2,
reflection
3,
points.
4, and maybe 5 on your back wall.
Yeah.
Like if you have 5 panels, you can probably get like 80% of the way there.
Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah.
totally. Totally.
That and having them at least like 4 to 6 inches off the wall.
Yeah, totally. The air gap is huge.
like it's so huge. Like I had them on.
True.
I had them on the wall forever, and then the moment I like brought them out 6 inches, and I did a couple different experiments using Room EQ Wizard the whole time to like figure out where just maximize the roll off, and it's insane. Like it extends it all the way down to like 48 hertz, I think, is where it like starts to roll off in my room, which is insane.
Yeah, nice.
Insane. Yeah. I mean, it still kind of dips and then it rolls off, but it's crazy. It's crazy.
Yeah, man, making the right choices there short of like building the actual room that your studio is in, you know, making the right choices with like a few key sound treatment things, and that air gap between your wall and the treatment is super clutch. You can do a lot with a little.
Oh yeah.
You don't.
Oh yeah.
If you're looking at like musiciansfriend.com or Sweetwater or whatever for what those products are, it looks like very unobtainable financially to a lot of people. But if you do a little Reddit dive on like r/acousticians or r/DIY studio
Yep.
and just see what other people are doing on a budget, they're basically building the same shit for like 30% of the cost.
Yeah. Yeah.
Oh, easily. Yeah, it's so sick.
Yeah, we're building some panels right now for the Ableton producer podcast to go into his room.
Yeah, we're
Nice.
just doing a few.
Yeah.
It'll do the
Yeah, a little goes a long way.
masterful
Yeah.
amounts of work in there. Yeah, it's
gonna be so nice.
Well,
We've done an hour, boys.
Has it been an hour already?
Yep.
Damn.
oh yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, I was 15.
So
Dude,
time
I
flies
love
when you're
that.
being a dork.
I love
All right.
this.
Dude,
yeah,
it's
this
the
has been
best.
so fun.
Talking
Just
shop
like
with the boys.
grinding into like acoustics is
It's my
always a
favorite.
joy.
Yeah, yeah.
It's been a while too. We haven't done
Yeah.
that for
No,
a while.
acoustics
Wow.
is the best.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I love chatting about all of that stuff. I love chatting about speakers. We didn't get as much into like the Ableton DAW stuff.
We can do some of that. I'm not trying to end it right now.
No.
We've just been
it's-
going for an hour. You know.
Right.
It's how long do you guys usually record for?
Usually like hour to an hour 30.
Yeah.
2
At
hours
least
if
an
we're all
hour.
having way too much fun and we're hammered.
Right.
Cheers to that. I mean,
I'm out.
only one beer, but it is 1 in the afternoon. So
Right.
It's true. Hilarious.
Yeah. Well, what's some Ableton things that you're stoked on then? Is there any sound design like
This
goodness.
is I'm excited about a lot of stuff in Ableton right now is the short answer, but the next big rabbit hole that I want to dive down is to really master kind of like my flavors of sound design. I've been I've been guilty in previous years of like sample pack digging, preset digging a little more than I care to admit, and made some really cool music that I'm really happy about. But
Hell yeah.
The irrational fear is that like someone will pull up, another producer homie will pull up the sample pack that I dug from and be like, "You didn't make that sound. You're a fraud."
Yeah.
And
of course, that's all our fear.
Also, like my solace there is a quote from an episode of the Mr. Bill podcast where he's like, "God forbid you like don't choose the kick drum because it was the first one in the pack and anyone could have found that. Just choose the sound that makes the song good. No one cares."
Yeah.
But I still that's kind of the imposter syndrome that I'm dealing with right now. Is I want to do more creation from scratch, and I think sound design is a big area, not an area of weakness, but an area that I certainly have room for improvement. And so probably the last like 4 tunes that I released, I at least made sure that like the most prominent sounds, the bass patches or like whatever the lead was, that was something that I made, and then I gave myself some grace on pulling a loop from here or pulling a preset from there. But a lot of guys that I really look up to, like he is a great example of someone who is clearly mastered sound design a long time ago, and you see that from his YouTube channel and kind of the information that's fallen off of his plate onto his community. And I just look up to guys like that are hearing a sound and are able to synthesize that in a short amount of time. And I think like a lot of other things that I'm doing, like arrangement, I can hear an arrangement in my head and create that pretty fast. I feel really good about that.
Right.
Drum patterns, chord progressions, melodies, like I feel very strong in those areas. But yeah, the kind of like timbral things and synthesis things, like that's something that I want to get really good at doing quickly. And I've leaned a lot, like super heavy on Serum the last couple years. And so we were talking about Phase Plant earlier. Vital. I'm trying to remember what the minimal audio Rift, I think was
Rift.
there. Just looking forward to those are probably like the top 5 tools in bass music sound design or just in electronic sound design. And so I'm feeling very competent with Serum. Serum 2 has a few things. The spectral generator we were talking about, I've got a few things I need to dive into there. But just kind of picking those other big 4 synths and just sort of developing like what is my palette as a sound designer that I can kind of always just reach for that like ace up my sleeve when I need it. Which I have in a lot of other categories of music production, but that's like the next big one.
Hell yeah. It's exciting.
Yeah.
This is how I approach it as well. I like just like, okay, I need to work on a thing. Here's this thing that I feel like I'm lacking. Let me just focus on that for like the next 4 or 5 months and just like let me get as much juice out of that as I can.
Yeah, boot camp style.
Yeah,
right?
and usually by the end of that little process, whatever the tunes that happen kind of toward the end of that, those are the ones that they just slap like crazy.
Yep.
And I make like 6 of them in a row. Whereas like I might make like 1 or 2 in a month or something like that usually.
Yeah. I think that approach is that kind of like student or like collegiate approach to it, like clocking into those tasks like a job. I think that a lot of people say it's like quality over quantity, but I believe that quantity leads to that quality, right? Like trying to do it at a high level a lot of times, but just getting done rather than having to get it perfect every time. By the time you're done with that stint of attempts, you will be getting it perfect every time. I mean, that's been for the most part, that's been my experience anyways, is like, the years in my music education where I was having like the biggest leaps of growth were when I was like in high school and in college and had time to just only do that all day, every day. Like, no, I don't have that same schedule now as an adult with a job and a family and blah, blah, blah. But the hours that I do have to dedicate to it, do exactly what you're describing and just be like, the goal is to like get better at this every day and to keep trying to do that every day. And then same outcome. By the end of it, you have an EP or a couple songs. You're like, I was not writing anything near this level at the start of this, this little block. And like, that's what it's all about. If you can be like a lifelong learner or whatever and keep that same approach, consistency, and I can't think of another word, but just consistency and dedication. You will get there for sure.
And then you'll get there, and then something else will now be lacking, and you're like, okay, now I have to go do this one again.
Yep.
Yeah.
Why do I keep getting drums again? That's why.
Because drums is a never-ending, beautiful goal.
Yeah.
It's my North Star.
And it's wild how rapid the growth is, like, every year. For even the first, like, 9 years. Like, I just hit the 9-year mark, and I swear, like, around, like, the 6-year mark, I was like, oh, I think I'm, like, really starting to figure this out, you know? And then the 7-year mark, I was like, oh, no, my shit is, like, way better than just a year ago. And, like, every year I still just keep doing this.
Yeah.
So it's, like, it's just constant growth forever if you want to grow, you know? But you got to push. You got to push, and sometimes it's hard.
It's true, yeah. You got to push when it's like not fun too. Sometimes that's where like the biggest growth happens. Is like treat it like a job or treat it like a responsibility, and then
it is.
You will fall back in love with that process once you like kind of push through or overcome some of those hurdles, and then it becomes fun again, and you don't have the same like setbacks that you had last time. You're making better shit and.
Yeah.
And then 5-10 years, you can do what you guys are doing and go back to your old tunes and be like, man, the creative ideas were really good. Just the technical execution wasn't there. Now I can reassess that stuff with the tools and the skills that I have now. And I'm doing a similar thing. This is my 10-year anniversary of this music project of Torbjørn. And my first EP that I ever released got taken down off of Bandcamp a long time ago when it was, eclipsed by the production quality of my newer stuff. But same kind of feeling, like the songs were good and like the ideas there were good. So I'm re-going through that first EP and kind of like taking out the stuff that was like maybe not up to snuff, but like, oh, that sound was actually cool if I could just synthesize it in this different way. If I could fix that drum pattern, this, that, and the other. Certainly the mixing and mastering part of it has improved a lot in the last 10 years.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, I'm about
just
to re-release
ears.
some old stuff as well. Yeah.
That's so much fun.
You're just going to be able to just make a better mix even with just like the exact same material.
Yeah.
And we're only going like a year back. We haven't even released music yet. So we're like, okay, let's get the catalog up to date.
Yeah. We got to give
our
everything
current level of skills.
Yeah, the gold standard.
Apparent level ups. So fucking let's get them all in that zone.
Yeah. What do you guys have planned for releasing? What does that look like?
Trying to find people to release on. We do have a release coming out September. I want to say on Plush.
First release, right?
Yeah.
First official release.
And then we sent out a bunch of playlists, but I'm wondering now if there's too many songs per, because there were like 6 or 7 per. And then I was talking to Owie, and he was like, you should keep it to like 3 or 4 because he does some A&R. He's like, yeah, just like 3 or 4 or 2. Like 1 to 4, and kind of bug them every month, and you don't have to like send the same thing every month, but you could just be like, hey, did you listen to my last email? Or you just like consistently send them new shit just every month, even if they don't respond. And I was like, okay, sweet.
The psychology of that is like ever intriguing to me because one tip that that I got early on from Clippy, Seattle-based producer, and he's like big in the critical music scene and kind of like one of the few U.S. drum and bass producers that's like respected by the UK labels and stuff. Really, really cool guy. But he gave me the tip of like, if you want to be really good at that cat and mouse game, upload a private SoundCloud upload of your song and don't send it to anyone except for one person. And what that'll do is it'll go from 0 plays to 1 play when they listen to it. So if you send your unreleased playlist to a bunch of stuff, you don't necessarily know who the metrics are. Like someone in Portland listened to it and you're like, well, who the hell was that?
Right.
But yeah, he'll do individual uploads for every label that he's sending his stuff to. And then that way, and he checks on it daily, and then that way he can be at the forefront of that conversation. When it's at the forefront of their mind, he can be like, oh, it just went to 1 play, and hit them up and, hey, did you get a chance to listen to that? How are you feeling about it?
I know you got a chance to listen to that.
Damn. I know, right? On one, there is the like,
like creepiness of it. But yeah, you just
stalker side. But it's about right place at the right time, right? You
Sure.
certainly anyone in any reputable label is getting dozens of releases at least a week.
Right.
And like how do you stand out if you're not an artist that is really appealing and your followers, your metrics, or your touring history isn't really strong? The best thing you can do is just be like a good buddy to that person, make their job as easy as possible, give it to them on a silver platter, and just make sure that you're talking to them at the right place at the right time. And because the last thing you want to do is have someone like your tune and then you didn't hit them up until 2 weeks later, and then like they're not feeling the same way about it 2 weeks from now, or like even worse, like they're not into it, and that's from their angle, that's a hard thing to have to turn people down all the time. I don't envy anyone in that position.
No.
But then being the guy that's like, did you listen to it? Did you listen to it? Do you like it? And they want to be like, no, this shit is like not the right fit, but they don't want to hurt your feelings or whatever. So yeah, there's an interesting game in label pitching that people have to play.
Yeah.
I mean, people are artists and like artist communities, like the people around artists and stuff, it's kind of like a lot of like kind of semi-flaky, like they have the best intentions, but they're high as fuck or whatever, or distracted by whatever fun thing is happening over here. So like if you can just like give them a little nudge every once in a while, like seems like an ideal way to go.
Yeah. I think once a week is like not out of the question. You know what I mean?
Okay.
Yeah.
That's, I think any more than that, and you're maybe being annoying. Any less than that, and you're like maybe not being in the right place at the right time. But personally, take that with a pinch of salt. I might be wrong about that.
Yeah. No, I think that's fair. I do that at work. That's about how often I nudge a client.
Yeah, in any other profession, like email communication, hit them on a Monday, and if it's really important, hit them again on the Friday, and just be like, hey, just want to make sure you didn't miss this. Let me know after the weekend. I don't think I think the music industry is an anomaly and is different than many other industries, but I think that part of like the managerial part of record labels is probably has to operate pretty similar to like the rest of corporate America. And at least in an email chain, I think it's okay to remind someone a few times.
Right. The email doesn't hurt anyone. It's definitely like the softest form of like bugging.
Yeah.
Because I can be like, I'll mark that as unread. So the next time I open my email, I'm like, that's what that is. And then I can respond like,
but we're all guilty of it, man. Like, life moves fast. A lot of us are in music and in another day job or, 2 day jobs or whatever. And so, it's, I just try to.
It's hard to keep up with.
I struggle with patience in general. I certainly struggle with patience when it comes to like things that I'm passionate about in my music career. And so I just try my best to give people grace and to be as polite and understanding as possible, and without being passive and missing an opportunity, because at the end of the day, like, you do want to get booked for these things, you do want to get signed to these labels, all this stuff, and so it's a balance. You want to be be active but not pestering.
Right, exactly. Yeah, you want to keep your cool exterior. Be like, hey, did you is this my track yet? And like, you've asked me that like 6 times today. Like, I can't ask him for like a year now.
Yeah.
I have to regain the clout. Well, that's a nice spot to aura. That's a nice spot to end it on.
Yeah,
for sure.
We wish we had some reacts. I saved some videos, but I forgot to send them.
That's all right.
Good for today.
It's all good.
I don't have any either.
Okay, final challenge here before we go.
Okay, yeah.
We've got the mini meters.
The
live waveform generator. So this is hands down going to be the most childish part of the show. But here's your challenge: using only your voice and saying "ah," you need to make the shape of a dick on the waveform generator. I'll go first. Ah.
Oh,
that's a pretty good dick.
You got the head.
He gave us the example right out of the gate.
Yeah.
Damn.
All right, David, you're up. Okay, all right.
Nice.
What you got, Caleb?
Not loud enough.
All right, I'm gonna try and do chode.
Solid.
It's not quite a chode, but it's a little baby.
I'll try and back you up on that.
Hey.
All right.
That's
little
hilarious.
Little tiny head.
Hey, great work, boys.
Hey, yeah.
Amazing.
Thanks,
Let's
brother.
go.
We did it.
You guys are cool as fuck. Thank you guys
Fuck
for having
yeah,
me
dude.
on.
Dude,
Likewise, man. Likewise.
Oh my god, this was super
So
fun.
many nugs. You're so passionate about this and clearly so knowledgeable. So
That's great.
It's great
Thank
to
you.
just hear you riff on this. I was having a blast. I was like, I don't even need to talk. I'm just gonna fucking sit here
Yeah,
and
that's
listen.
great.
Yeah, man, I'll info
Ideal
dump on you
episode.
guys anytime.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Bro,
sounds great.
Anytime.
Are you doing a little DJ set after this?
Let's plug the USB in. I didn't prepare anything, but I
Okay.
definitely got a bunch of tracks, and so if I can string something together, I would love to.
Sure, sure.
Badass.
Well, folks,
go.
if you're live right now at twitch.tv/always400official, then you can see this now live.
Yeah.
If you're on the YouTube, we'll see you next week.
Yeah. Well, and potentially it'll be at 400 REC Rec.
Yeah, it'll be
Always
on the
400 Records.
On YouTube.
other YouTube.
But like it'll be a little bit later before that comes out.
It's true.
But that's kind of how that works.
Chad,
Yep.
thank you for showing up today. Shout out Jacob. Shout out Facek.
Yep.
Anyone else we missed?
This
Big
is
ups.
badass.
Couple
Saturday.
lurkers in there.
I know. Early
Midday.
Saturday. I love it. Feels good.
Yeah, it's great.
Feel
That's
like
great.
awake and
We're going to take a quick break, folks, and we'll be back with more Torbjørn.
later, everybody.
Hey.
Hey, sheesh.